Good evening and welcome. On this first night of Kwanzaa, it is our delight, it is our joy, it is our privilege to welcome a very special guest to this soul session. He is Deloyd T. Parker Jr., the co-founder and executive director of Shape Community Center, overseeing its growth and mission since 1969. Growing up in Port Arthur, Texas, Deloyd's parents, Mrs. Ruby Parker and Mr. Deloyd Parker Sr., instilled in him a sense of humility, a willingness to help, the courage to face adversity, and the strength to fight injustice whenever and wherever it raises its ugly face. Deloyd worked in the Ujamaa villages of East Africa and traveled to many countries in the eastern part of Africa, spreading Shape's philosophy. He was the international observer of the historic South African election of Nelson Mandela. He went to West Africa, where he met with the president of the Gambia and was able to expand relations with the government as well as grassroots community leaders. The initiation of the SHAPE philosophy was embraced by the people of the Gambia, and the shape of the Gambia was born. Under his leadership, SHAPE has weathered the ebbs and flows of community organizing and development, from his early student activism to his role as a community leader. His journey mirrors the transition of SHAPE. The center, which originally had a staff of 2, now supports full and part-time workers, students, interns, and hundreds of volunteers. SHAPE has gained international attention, but his greatest achievements center around improving the lives of our children, family, and the community as a whole. SHAPE's legacy is a community effort. Mr. Parker never lets anyone forget that it takes the entire village to raise SHAPE and its mission for decades to come. Again, sir, it's a great honor to have you with us here tonight to discuss this sacred time of Kwanzaa, the principles, and how we may employ them in our lives.
An honor, and thank you for allowing me to share what I might have to offer to the community, to those who are listening and looking and watching and observing. First of all, let me say one thing that's I think is very important. We have to make sure our head does not expand. You know what a big head does. It either floats above the people or it falls down below the people. What we want to do is to walk with the people. And I think that's the message I want to get over. No one person has the answer, but together we have the truth and we have the answer. So you don't want to go above the people. You don't want to walk below the people. We want to walk with the people. And I pray and hope that Shape Center is demonstrating that type of action in our 54 years and 7 months of work in this community. Yes, it's been over 54 years. Shape Center was founded out of the Civil Rights Movement, a birth child of the Civil Rights Movement. And we're excited to have been able to develop an institution that recognizes the need for family strengthening and empowerment. We embrace Kwanzaa. Some of you know it as the Nguzo Saba. It's a system of views and values. Kwanzaa is a celebration, but equally important, it's a lifestyle. So we celebrate Kwanzaa on the 26th of December through the 1st of January. And it's a celebration of the harvest. The harvest, not just what you grow out of the ground, but what you grow in your lives and in your family. Because your family also harvest. They harvest good ideas. They harvest healthy things. They harvest growth and development. They harvest, families harvest things. So you're celebrating that harvest. We celebrate 7 principles. And see, we in this case, Black people or African Americans, never really had our own holiday that we can declare as our own and share with the world until we got Kwanzaa. You know, we didn't even have Juneteenth until lately. But we didn't have our own holiday. But everybody had his or her or their holiday. But we did not. So Kwanzaa was extracted from African tradition. What Dr. Maulana Karinga did was to extract from the African experience during the harvest. See, in Africa, when there's a harvest, they celebrate the harvest. They celebrate the productivity of the harvest. And that's by having food and dance and just wonderful experiences. They celebrate it. What do they celebrate? They celebrate what caused the harvest to be productive. And that's where the 7 principles come into play. So Dr. Karinga embraced that. He brought it here and he created a celebration of Kwanzaa. Some call it the Nguzo Saba. And that's 7 principles. He brought that so we can say that we got our holiday to share with the rest of the world, not to hoard or to keep for ourselves. You can't do that. If you do, you're contradicting what the concept of Kwanzaa is about. You share Kwanzaa. And when you practice 7 principles, you make the world better. You make the world better. Well, we start off with the Ubuntu. We say that I am because we are. We are, therefore I am. There's no me without you. And there's no you without me. We're all part of a family of interdependence. We need each other, y'all. That's what that says. We need each other. That's equivalent to the heart, the human body. You have all these organs in your body, right? But each organ has a function. Each and every organ has a function. And they don't confuse the function, one organ, the function of another organ. They know what that function is. The heart pumps the blood. It knows clearly what its function is. The kidney cleanses the blood. The brain sends the signals. All these organs have a function, but they got to work together. They have to work together. So my point is that the kidney doing all this work and the heart's getting all the credit. If the kidney didn't cleanse the blood that the heart pumped, it would pump some dirty blood. And if the brain didn't send the heart didn't send the blood to the brain, you wouldn't be able to give the signals to the rest of the body. So every organ has a function, but they work interdependently. They work together. And that's what we feel our community should do. Recognizing the different aspects, the different parts of the community, the doctors or the hospitals, the schools, all these different things represent organs in our community. But they have to work together. The school, the religious institutions, the businesses, you name every entity, they have to work together. That's what makes a harmonious community, when they work together. When they don't work together, you have a dysfunctional community. The same thing is applicable to the human body. Those organs don't work together. I'm sorry, I thought I cut this off. Forgive me, y'all. I did cut it off. When those organs don't work together, we're in trouble. So what I'm suggesting is that we have to learn to work together. And Kwanzaa is a demonstration. It's a celebration that gives emphasis to that. So we start off with the first day of Kwanzaa, the day of the 26th of December, the very day after Christmas. We celebrate the first day. The first day is called Umoja. Umoja means unity. Unity of the family, the community, the nation, and the whole world. So we celebrate unity. How do we celebrate? We light a candle. That first candle is a black candle. It's usually at the top. You light that candle and you talk about unity of the family, the community, the nation, and the world, and what we got to do to forge unity. What we have to do to make sure we have unity. We talk about that, and we have to demonstrate that as well. That's just one day. We move on to the next day, the day of Kujichagulia, self-determination. That's where you think for yourself. You speak for yourself. You define yourself. You name yourself. You do not have other people telling you who you are. Mm-hmm. You have to know who you are. And yet that takes time to develop and to understand who you are. It doesn't happen overnight. Sometimes we think we know, but we're missing the boat. We have to know who we are. So that's what Kujichagulia is, self-determination. You think for yourself, speak for yourself, define yourself, name yourself, and not have other people telling you who you are. You light that candle. And then you go to another principle. It's called Ujima. Ujima is collective work and responsibility. No one person could do it by him or herself. We have to do it collectively. If each of us took on a responsibility relative to what we need to do, we can get the house built. I might not be able to saw good, but I can nail good. I might not be able to measure good, but I can mix the concrete. Everybody has a responsibility in building that house, but we gotta be in communication with each other, and we gotta do it together. That's collective work and responsibility. We all, each of us respectively, have a responsibility, but we have to work together. That is Ujima. Then you have Ujamaa. Ujamaa is cooperative economics. Remember, cooperative economics. A penny is worthless in of and by itself. It's a little bitty piece of copper. And sometimes it's not even copper because they change the metal that they make the pennies out of now. That penny used to be worth something a long, long time ago. But you go to the store and buy something with a penny, you would be in for a rude awakening. They would look at you like you're losing both of your minds, the one you don't have and the one you haven't started to use. They would look at you. A penny is worthless. But if I got 95 people in this room or 99 people in this room, and I get a penny from each one of us, I think I have $1, a whole dollar. I take that dollar and go to that same store. I figure out what it is that I could buy for $1. And I find something. And I bring it back. And I find something I was able to share with the other 99 people who put that penny in. And I gave each one of them a little bit of what I bought with that dollar. Each of them benefit, each of them gave. Before that penny was worthless, but that when you put them together, you had $1, and that penny became of value. That's cooperative economics. That applies to anything, not just a penny, a nickel, a quarter, $1, and any amount of currency. That's cooperative economics, Ujamaa. And then, of course, you have another principle. It's called Nia. You have to have a purpose. You have to know what your purpose in life is. My purpose in life is to bring good into the world. To bring good into the world. That's what Nia means. Bringing good into this world. So, and how do you do that? You embrace good. You speak good. You live good. And you have an example of good in your entire life. That's Nia. My purpose is to bring good into the world. What is your purpose? And that's a question that we leave open for everybody. Then we have what's called Kuumba. Kuumba is creativity. I like that one more because, see, my mom and daddy invented Rice Krispies. See, what do you mean? Well, you see, when we cooked, my mother and father had 10 children. When those children, 10 children now, my mother and father, when my mother was cooking, she happened to accidentally scorch some rice that she was cooking. She did not throw that rice away. You know what we do today? We scorch some rice and we put some bread on it and we get rid of the smell of the burnt part, the scorched part, and we eat the rice. Well, no, my mother, she took that scorched rice at the bottom of that pot, put it in a bowl, add a little sugar, a little cream. That was the original Rice Krispies, y'all. It was rice and it was crisp. That rice that normally they would throw away became a cereal. So we didn't throw that rice away. We ate that rice with milk and sugar. Rice, and it was crisp. It's a joke, but it's real. My mother didn't throw nothing away. She was creative in everything that she prepared, everything that she did. And when she made cornbread dressing, the crust at the bottom of the pan would not be, that hard crust at the bottom, it wouldn't be thrown away. A lot of people take the inside and make that cornbread dressing. We were waiting for my mama to clean that top off so we can get to the bottom and break it up and put it in a bowl and put some milk and sugar. And that was kush kush. Kush kush kaye. So we were creative. We have to be creative in what we do. And I'm gonna move this one little thing. I was one of the best dressed in my school, and I didn't have but 2 or 3 pair of pants. The reason I was one of the best dressed is because I knew what to do with what I had to work with. If I had 1 pair of pants, I might wash those pants at night, and we'd have to fight for the ironing board. We'd have to fight. Somebody's coming in. You can put the keys in there. I'm sorry. We had to fight for the ironing board because we didn't have but 1 ironing board and 1 iron. But I would get up at 4:30 and get them to the ironing board. We had to fight for the iron. Our iron was overused, so we had to put it on the burner to make it hot, iron the clothes, because we burned the cord on the iron. Well, we'd get up in the morning and we'd wash those pants, and we'd put the pants on a fan and use a clothespin to pin it onto the fan. And let the fan blow the legs out, and that was our dryer. That was our dryer. We didn't have a washer and a dryer. We washed the clothes and we put them on the fan and let the fan blow through the legs, and it was dry enough for me to iron it that morning. We had 7 boys and 3 girls, so we had a lot of pants to iron.
Mm-hmm.
But my point is that we were creative. We knew how to prepare food, and we were creative in everything that we did. And that's how we were able to not survive, but live, because we didn't want to use the word survival. We thought we had a good life, and we did. Especially when we got that powdered milk that they gave us. That powdered milk, we take it and mix it up with a mixer until all the lumps were out of it. And we get the original milk from the milkman and pour it in there. We thought we were drinking milk from the milkman. They couldn't determine what was what. We had that powdered milk, when they gave commodities out a long time ago. The government gave commodities. We didn't throw those. We mixed it up and we made enough. In fact, made enough gallons to last us a while. But we thought we were drinking some milk from the milk.
Lisa.
Lisa? I can't.
You're muted, Lisa.
I was going to ask you if you would tilt your screen just a little bit.
Okay.
Because your computer is glaring in your eye. Oh, too much. Just a little bit.
Is that good?
Well, the computer screen's glaring in your eyes, and we kind of wanted to see your eyes.
I need to take my glasses off.
That'll work too.
Okay. Okay, where are we now?
You were just finishing up with creativity.
We had to get some
food and the fan.
Oh yeah, we had to get some Goomba. We had to get some.
I love this. Yeah.
Some creativity. We had to be creative. So-called poor people were not poor. Didn't think we were poor anyway. Economically, we would have been considered poor, but we did not consider ourselves poor. I was best dressed at my school with 3 pair of pants, and I knew how to iron those shirts, and I knew how to win first place and get into the iron in the morning to iron them. So we were creative, and that's how so-called poor people are able to survive the conditions that were imposed on us. We have to use our creative energy, our creative juices to make things work for us. To this very day, I'm using those same life experiences. That's why I'm able to work at Shape Community Center and do what I do with little or no money, because I know how to survive, how to live off of very little. And so I just want to let you know what Kumba means. Kumba is just one, but you know what? Yeah, unity, self-determination, collective working responsibility, cooperative economics, purpose, creativity, and all that you can flush down somebody's toilet if you don't have some F-A-I-T-H, faith, Imani, faith. Imani is a foundation to all that I've just said. If you do not believe, you might as well forget it. So we say that faith is the foundation to the 6 principles that we just finished talking about. Imani means faith. Faith in your parents, your teachers, faith in your leaders, faith in those people who have the strength, the energy, and the desire to move us to take us to another place, a better place. You have to have faith. But bottom line, faith in our Creator, the force that allows us to be here today, the force that allows us to be able to breathe air and to eat food and to do all the things that gives us additional and long life. So I say that. Now, Those are the 7 principles. Now we celebrate Kwanzaa by having a speaker to speak on each of these principles each night in different locations. We have vendors that come and sell their ware, sell their food, their art, their crafts, and they make money. Then we have entertainment, singers, dancers, African dance, and all of that takes place. We have all of that, and I am going to cut my phone off. I thought I had. Okay, we have food, vendors, entertainment, singers, African dance. All of that takes place during the celebration at SHAPE, at the Multi-Service Center. Then we move to the Shrine of the Black Madonna.
Mm-hmm.
We do the same thing now on the second night. Then we move to the Nation of Islam. They have a building. We have a Kwanzaa celebration over there. Then we move to the Multi-Purpose Center in 3rd Ward. We have a celebration there. Then we go to Galveston, the Nia Cultural Center in Galveston. We move around. They have Kwanzaa celebrations at different locations. But that's not to suggest that we do not celebrate it in our homes. We do it also on a more personal level in our homes. We at our home, we have our kanara, our fruit, our display, our candles. We have our books, our gifts that we hand make. All of that under the kanara. And we do that at home in the morning or in the evening. That's your celebration, your personal family celebration. But you always celebrate on a larger scale in the community. And that's what we do during Kwanzaa. Now, we don't go to the store and buy gifts. Most of the gifts that we have, we create ourselves. We make, we design, we create, because we want to keep it in the community. We want to keep the creative juices flowing in our blood. So we do that. And by the way, on the very last night, we have what's called a karamu, a feast, where everybody bring food. We have plenty of food and have the big feast. It's called a karamu. And now on Thanksgiving, on Christmas, on Kwanzaa 31st, we're at SHAPE Center. And we stay here until after midnight. We don't leave. People don't have a church home or don't have a place to worship, they stay here, and we keep the chairs in a circle. And we all stay there. And people need a place to be. At a certain time, we lock the doors, and we cut the lights dim, and we're in that circle. And we just enjoy each other. We pass the microphone around. Everybody share their experience and talk about what they want to talk about. And that takes us into that last day of Kwanzaa, Nia, faith, where we can start practicing those things we talked about during those 7 days or those previous 6 days. It's nice, y'all. I enjoy it. I look forward to it. I miss my first Kwanzaa community celebration this past year. Guess what? I had shingles, but I survived, and I will be there this year. Though I missed Kwanzaa citywide, I did keep it in my heart, my prayers, my spirit at home. So that's what Kwanzaa is. But the things that we need to know, I think should know, is that Kwanzaa is for everybody. Anybody could celebrate Kwanzaa. Anybody at home, you can do it at your church, your school, anybody could celebrate it. And it's very simple to celebrate. You just push those principles. But remember, I was telling people the other day that celebration is fine. Just like protest is fine. You can protest against injustice. That's fine. But if you go out there and protest, don't follow up with a program, you're blowing in the wind. Mm. You have to have a program that emanates from your protest. And so we, SHAPE Center, the community center that I run, that I join in other people in running, have programs and activities that stem from a protest. We can protest, but we have to come and do what we can do to mitigate those things that cause the protest to be needed. So we teach our children, we teach our parents, we teach our family. While I'm speaking to you now, actually, a couple of days ago, we had our parent meeting. Every other Wednesday, we have a parent meeting at Shape Center. Every child that comes to Shape, that parent has to come to a parent meeting at Shape. They have to sign a contract to that effect. If they do not come to that parent meeting, their child would not come to Shape. And we emphasize that. We have a 98% parental participation because we are serious about it. That's all part of Kwanzaa. That's part of practicing it. And the parents say this when they get to the parent meeting, just say, as they do in Kwanzaa, they say, as a parent, I believe in the ancient African proverb that it takes an entire village to raise a child. I will nurture the children. I will listen to the children. I will teach and I will model appropriate behavior for myself, for my family, and for my community. That's what the parents say. But the children have to come back and give us theirs. And what do the children say? As a child, I will listen to learn. I will look to learn. I will think to learn. I will follow the rules and act appropriately for myself, for my family, and for my community. That's what the children say. And you heard what the parents pledge. So each one of them, the parents have a pledge and the children have a pledge, and they have to stick with that. They have to stick with that. And every child comes up with a proverb when they go in those circles. I like this one. I don't know if I already said it because I've been talking so much today. I have to. My position is that you can, with the as far as the people are concerned, you don't want your head to get too big. I think I might have said that initially, but I'll say it again. You don't want your head to get too big thinking that you're all that. Because when you do, a big head, only two things could happen. It float above the people, it fall down below the people. But what we want to do is walk with the people. And that's important. Because if your head get big and think that you're all that, you're not going to walk with the people. You're going to be arrogant and a few other things. But we need to recognize that walking with the people, I think our leaders, our supreme leader, walk with the people. And we want to walk with the people. Through Kwanzaa, through our programs, our Pan-African Festival, and all our events, we make sure that we have collective work and responsibility, cooperative economics, purpose, creativity, and a whole lot of FAITH. That's just a little taste of what Kwanzaa is about, but I just want you to know that practicing the principles is a whole lot more important than celebrating the holiday. Because you can practice, you can celebrate all you want to, but if you don't follow it up with practice, you're blowing in the wind. So I encourage everybody, you can practice Kwanzaa, those 7 days, unity through faith. But every day, 365, practice those principles every day. We do at Shape. I do. And if I slip, somebody, hey, Deloyd, you're not practicing the principles of Kwanzaa. They remind you. They remind you. So that's what you have any questions that you had some questions you wanted to ask me. What would you like to know?
Well, first of all, let me say how beautiful this is, because it's among other things, it's not a passive reception. You know, so often religious holidays are about something that happened in the past, and we commemorate them, and we follow through with the traditions and so on, but it's kind of done to us. And what you're describing is something that is it's there's accountability in every step of it. I mean, there's so much. If one followed those principles successfully, they would. What could go wrong? What could go sideways in your life? And as an example, cooperative economics, it flies in the face of competitive economics, which is what so often we see around us. The dog eat dog, you know. And here, I mean, also let me say, your analogies are brilliant. I'm sitting here making notes because I I have to teach by analogy as well. I think spiritual matters, right? As Jesus spoke in parables, that kind of thing. When you talk about the different organs of the body and how each one has a purpose and it sort of stays in its lane, but it can't function effectively without the others. And then the penny that's worthless. And I where I thought you were going with that is you put all the pennies together and you can buy something with it. And then you took it a step further and you said what you buy with it, you bring back to the community and you share, and everybody benefits from the collective experience that they wouldn't have had if they just stuck with their own penny. This is brilliant. This is absolutely brilliant. So that's not a question. It's an applause. It's a thank you, God, for this great work that you're doing.
Thank you.
And,
I'm going to tell you about that penny.
Yeah.
You can there was a time you could take that pen and use it for something else. Do you remember what that is?
A stamp?
Remember when those fuse boxes, we had those fuse boxes and you had that thing is
yeah. Yeah.
You take that fuse out and put that penny in and screw the fuse back in, and it'll come back, the lights will come back on, electricity come back on. We used to be able to do that, and gave that fuse. They don't make those boxes anymore. Now you have the time you cut on it. Well, we didn't have no fires. We use that penny and plus you can't do it with those pennies because they have different fuse boxes now.
Right.
That penny had value then too, but the penny and that was copper then, is not copper now. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, and you also put them in your shoes. You remember penny loafers? Yeah, right.
You put it on top of. I had a pair of penny loafers. Yeah. Yes, sir.
No, this is spectacular. Okay, I have a question of kind of a technical nature. This Kwanzaa originated with Dr. Karenga's work in California, and it's American and it's North American. Is it observed in the rest of the African diaspora?
Okay. Dr. Karenga created Kwanzaa from his experience and his knowledge of African culture. So the answer is yes, but it's not called Kwanzaa. It's called the Nguzo. It's called Saba. That's 7. That's where they celebrate the harvest in Tanzania. Anytime there's a harvest in many parts of Africa, they celebrate that harvest by having plenty of food and dance and music. That's their Kwanzaa, because they celebrate a productive harvest. If the harvest is productive, they celebrate by having dance, music, and all of that. That happens all over Africa. When I was in Tanzania, in Dar es Salaam, they celebrated it that way there. In Kenya, the same way. So Africa, Dr. Karenga extracted from African tradition to create Kwanzaa. He didn't just grab it out of the sky.
Yeah.
He recognized African culture. He studied and taught African culture. And he extracted from what he know and learned about Africa to create even the words. The words is Swahili, Kiswahili. Now, Kiswahili is a language that was created because it was for the purpose of trade. So out of all the countries in Africa, Swahili is the largest spoken language. It's in Kenya, in Tanzania, is in Namibia. There's a lot of countries in that area. They created it for the purpose of trade, so you can communicate. Same thing. And so Dr. Karenga chose Swahili to make that the principles, because each of those principles, like I start off by saying Habarigani, that's Kiswahili. That's how you start your day off in each day of Kwanzaa. Habarigani means, what's the news? And you respond by saying, umoja, or unity, the principle for the day. You're walking down the street, say, Habarigani. Somebody else say, Kujichagulia, self-determination. So that's how they respond when you say Habarigani. What's the news? And so we do that throughout the week. I'll see somebody walking down the street and say, hey, Brother Lord, I say, unity. You bring up the principle for that day. But to answer your question, Dr. Karenga didn't magically pull Kwanzaa out of the sky or create it in of and by himself. He drew off the principles, the life, and the culture of African people and created it. So our linkage to that would be Africa. You know, that's what he did. And he made it really universal. Because if a person, because people, over 10 million people celebrate Kwanzaa throughout the world. It's more than that, really. But that's the ones we can trace. You know, in Guyana, South America, here in North America, and different parts of the world, people celebrate Kwanzaa. They say, well, they don't even do that in Africa. That's where it emanated from. That's where it came from. They don't have to do it. They're living it.
Yeah.
They're living it. So that's why I have to say that if we embrace those 7 principles, live them, practice them, we would be much better people and have much better lives and much more productivity in all that we do, because we wouldn't be trying to hoard everything. We wouldn't be trying to keep it to ourselves. We wouldn't be trying to rip off somebody to get what we don't have ourselves, because we would have created an opportunity and a process for us to get it without having to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
so Kwanzaa is a value system, y'all. System of views and values. It's a value system. And I think that you don't even have to say Kwanzaa to celebrate it. You know, you can live every day. You can do something. Say, when I give somebody something, and we went on a freedom tour not too long ago. We had 39 children traveling across the South, retracing the civil rights movement. We do that every year. We travel with children and chaperones, retracing our experience through all that we had gone through in this country. We leave Houston and go to Jackson, Mississippi, where Medgar Evers was assassinated. We leave there and we go to Selma, Alabama, where John Lewis was beaten when he was crossing the Edmund Pettus Bridge simply because he wanted the right to vote. We leave there and we go to Birmingham, where the 4 little girls were killed when the church was bombed. And they were in the church getting ready for Sunday school and they were killed. We leave there and we go to Montgomery, where Rosa Parks refused to get off the bus, and where Dr. King had Dexter Avenue Baptist Church, and where his house, Fred Shuttlesworth house was bombed. We traveled all over the South. We learned a lot on that freedom tour. We've been doing it 30 years, an average of 40 children every year. Multiply 30 times 40, I think you probably got 1,200 children that have been on that trip. And they come back with so much more knowledge because they got a chance to march across the bridge, the Edmund Pettus Bridge, where Bloody Sunday took place. Stand in Dr. King's pulpit where he preached at. To go where the 4 little girls were killed when the church was bombed. And the great-grandfather of one of those girls was speaking to us outside that church, telling us about the Children's March of 1963 or 65. You know, and so we got a chance to experience that, and the children come back. And anytime you travel 1,200 miles, 2,500 miles, and not have one problem with the children, then something is right. And what determines whether you have a problem is preparation and education. If you prepare properly, if you educate the children, if you have enough people, then you're going to be okay. And we did that. And we had a perfect trip. The reason I mention that, because that's part of what Kwanzaa speaks to. Somebody said, a people without the knowledge of their past history, your culture, and your origin is like a tree without roots. And we all know what happens to a tree with no roots. You know, it dissolves, it dies. So we want to make sure the children know their history, know what they came through, know who gave so much of themselves so they can be where they are today. They have to know that. They must know that. And at SHAPE, we teach that. More so than teaching it, we live it. We live it. So I just wanted to share that, because how does that relate to Kwanzaa? That's part of what we do. Teaching them who they are, where they came from, their history, you know, that kind of stuff. And I tell the children all the time, there's a proverb that we have. It says, we tell the children this: This is not to put them down, but for them to understand and appreciate old folk. You might walk or run faster than I do, but I know where I'm going. That's what we give the children, because we've experienced a lot. We've been a lot of places, and the children can learn from that. So we let them know that you may get to that spot, you may run faster to go to that place, but do you know where you're going? So, and they understand that. We don't say that to put them down. We let them say that so they'll know that there's a lot they can learn from us, and we learn from them as well. And I'm a final with this. We have a program called the Elders Institute of Wisdom, where every Thursday, in fact, tomorrow, the elders will meet at Shape Center. They meet every Thursday. When they meet, they form the chairs in a circle. The oldest one is 103 years old. She is the wife of Dr. Thomas Freeman, who was over the debating team at Texas Southern University. He died a couple of years ago. If you ever heard of the movie, The Great Debaters, it was based on him and his debating team, where his wife is the oldest one in that elders meeting on Thursdays. They sit in a circle. They tell their story. We pass the microphone around. They share with us their experience. And we just have a wonderful time. And at the end of the meeting, I have already cooked. In fact, I have to cook tomorrow morning a 3-course vegetarian meal for them to take home with them when they leave. That's the Elders Institute of Wisdom. And that came out of Kwanzaa. You can develop programs out of Kwanzaa or from Kwanzaa. We have a children's Kwanzaa. We have the Elders Institute of Wisdom. We always ask permission from our elders to proceed in whatever we do. Any program we have, any meeting we have, we say, do we have permission from the elders to proceed? They say, what the elders say, it's okay, then we start. But we don't start until we got their permission. And so that's just how we are. And that's what SHAPE is. And that's what the Elders Institute of Wisdom is. And that's what Kwanzaa is. And SHAPE is founded on those 7 principles. We operate SHAPE based on that, and our whole thing. That's why you see on our t-shirts, strong family, strong nation. Our focus is family strengthening and empowerment. And we have to focus on making the family strong. And we do that at SHAPE. I'm sorry, I'm doing all this talking.
No. Perfect. Wonderful. So at SHAPE, you have regular weekly, let's call them check-ins, based on Kwanzaa principles for different age groups and different interests. What suggestions would you have for people in their homes to have around the year? Either a ritual practice or an accountability check-in.
Okay, one thing I like to use, since people are so focused in on economics and money, we need to figure out how we can ask each person in the home to find out a way they can generate, of course, legally generate some revenue to put in the collective pot. If you have something that you don't want anymore, that you want, but you're not in love with it, you want to sell it or share it, you can do that. And the money you get from it goes in that pot. And then if you have some money that you had that you thought you wanted to get something with it that you thought you wanted, but didn't necessarily need, you take that money and put it in that pot. Each person in that home or in that family could find some money, sacrifice, and put that in that pot. Once you accumulate a certain amount of money, what you do with it is to benefit the entire family. Everybody watch TV. Everybody eats food. Each of us would do something, but something that each of us could benefit from. That's just one way. But then you could also figure out a way to engage in some collective work around the house. Say, if you got a house that is in bad shape, that needs some help, some cleaning, If you pull people together, husband, wife, children, grandmother, and find a responsibility that each one of them has or could accept, and let them do that, and see how wonderful it could be if I had this to do, you had that to do, and you had this to do, and no one person had all of this to do.
Yeah.
See how wonderful that would be. You don't get one person used up or tired. You know, everybody would benefit because everybody uses that house. Everybody uses that restroom. Everybody uses that kitchen. So, and that's cooperative, that's collective work. I talked about cooperative economics, about the money. Then, of course, you got to have self-determination, where you think for yourself, speak for yourself. Get them to come up with an idea of an activity that they can have at the house, embracing collective work, embracing, where they can all come up with an idea. They can focus on something because you have unity, self-determination, collective work and responsibility, cooperative economics. If they can come up with an idea culturally, say if you got a quilt and everybody was able to get a piece of that quilt, a cloth, and each of them had an opportunity to sew that on, or to a silk screen, to skip that on. Everybody contributes to it. It's an art piece, an heirloom. It's something you can have for your grandchildren or your great-grandchildren. Then of course, I tell you another thing about food. You can figure out a lot of things you can do with food. Let's have a little competition in the kitchen. Let's take turns preparing food. You might do it this week, somebody do it the next week, and see who can come up with the best meal. Little things like that. There's so many things that you can do that doesn't cost any money, or it does, not very much. Come up with something that you can really, really do. But let's see, family, united, collective working responsibility, cooperative economic purpose. And you might want to get them to each one of them, give each one of them a principle. Each one of them a principle. And ask them to talk about how they're going to use that principle in their daily lives. Well, how you going to use collective work? Tell me how you define it. What do you think it means? If they have a problem finding out what that means, they can call me or go to our website or whatever, and they'll see some of the principles. I'm looking at one right now that says, I got to put my glasses on to see this. Okay. It says umoja, to strive and maintain unity in the family, community, the nation, and the race. Kujicharawia, self-determination, to define ourselves, name ourselves, create for ourselves, and speak for ourselves. Ujima, to build and maintain our community together, and to make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems, and to solve them together. Problem solving together. That's another way you can deal with it. Then Ujima, cooperative economics, to build and maintain our own stores, our shops, and other businesses, and to profit from them together. Now that could be in any form. That could be a little gift shop, a little booth at a festival where you can set up your booth and sell your crafts. The other one is Nia, purpose, to make our collective vocation, the building and developing of our community in order to restore our people to that traditional greatness. In other words, we were a great people. We still are when we exercise our greatness and we show all that. But we have to be talking here about collective vocation and building, developing our community so we can restore our people to our traditional greatness. If you study history, you'll know that we were a whole lot greater than we are today, have done a whole lot more to contribute to the world than you know about, than you even read about. But you have to work on it. Kumba, to do always as much as we can in the way that we can in order to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than when we inherited it. You know, we might have a cleanup campaign in our community. Get some plastic bags, some gloves. Nobody has to tell us to clean our own stuff. We have a park next to Shape. We designed that park and we named that park. We had the city to build that park with our tax dollars. That's our money. So why can't we name it? And why can't we say what we want on it? We did all of that. We say we want a gazebo. We want some picnic tables. We want some barbecue pits. We want a play area for the children. We want a handball court. We want a gazebo where somebody could plug a boom box, a music box, or a speaker and something in to play music. And we want trash cans for appropriately sectioned. And we want to name it after us. Say, what do you mean us? After all of us. How could you name a park after all of you all? It's easy. Name it our park.
Oh, nice.
Where you going? I'm going to our park. Don't drop that paper on our park. How you relate to something has everything to do with how you treat it. And how you, if you relate to it as ours, you would think you're going to treat it like it's yours.
Yeah.
So we included everybody in that. This is where you go. I'm going to our park. I mean, what's the name of it? Our park. You know, so, and man, why you put that paper on our park? You know, and every morning, people in the community, they go and pick up the paper and put it in the trash. Yeah, the city's supposed to do it, but they still do it, but they don't have nothing to do when they come.
Yeah.
Because we've already cleaned, you know. So the workers are so much appreciative of us because they don't have to worry about doing nothing but taking the trash that we've already taken out of the trash cans and tied it up and put it on the side for them to pick up. Normally, they would have to pick up the paper. Normally, we even get volunteers that come to Shape to what you call it, water, what you call it, in the spray the water on the sidewalk.
Power wash?
Power wash.
Yeah.
Power wash the gazebo and keep it clean, you know. And so we get people volunteer at Shape Community Center and they come to do volunteer work. And some of them come and instead of getting that traffic ticket, the court allowed them to volunteer at a nonprofit organization. Yeah. So they'll come to Shape. And they love coming to Shape because we treat them like they're human, which is who they are. Some people, they go and volunteer and they treat them like they're criminals. We tell them, do not consider yourself a community service person. Call yourself a volunteer. A volunteer. Don't label yourself. Because that's right, don't do that. So we treat them just like a staff person. Then we have people come from Harris County who got a little case they picked up. You know, we tell them you are a volunteer. We have people come from U of H, TSU, doing their internship, community, volunteer work. They do that to get the grade or to graduate. We have people coming from workforce. In order to get their unemployment, they have to work at a nonprofit. They work at Shape. And guess what? 80% of them end up coming back after they finish doing the hours that they were supposed to do.
Yeah. Because
we treat them like they're human. And I told them, don't call me Mr. Deloyd. And someone used to call me Mr. Deloyd or call me boss man. I said, oh, God, please don't do that no more. It's an insult. Just call me Brother Deloyd or Deloyd. Because I believe that Mr. comes from as derivative of master. And I'm not nobody's master. So just call me Brother Deloyd, and I'm cool with that. And you feel more comfortable. And don't say you come to volunteer at Shape. And then when you leave here, you need a job reference. You got one right here.
Yeah.
You got a good job reference. And I give them an orientation. They learn about the center. They have a big screen. I tell them the history of the center, how Shape Center came into existence, much of what I'm talking to you about. And they learn a lot. They appreciate it a lot better. And they want to come back. They want to come back. I know, say, what does it have to do with Kwanzaa? That's what Kwanzaa is. That's what you do. That's when you live the principles. You treat everybody right. You respect everybody. You join in collective work in helping people. That's what Kwanzaa is about. But that's living the 7 principles. That's the Nguzo Saba. Living the 7 principles of Kwanzaa is what we do. And that's more important than celebrating. Because once you only celebrate 7 days, but you practice 365 days out of it. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm still running my mouth. I know I'm running over time, but tell me, what else is it you wanted to know that people want to know the answers to?
While I'm looking for that, I have it here if I can read it in the dark. I wanted to comment on the brilliant use of creativity, because so often in the story that you told of your coming up, because so often we think of creativity as creating something out of nothing. I want to write a poem, or I want to paint a painting or something, and it doesn't exist until it does. And your understanding that you so broadened my mind with it was using what's in front of you to expand it, to extend it, and to make it work better.
To give it additional life.
Give it additional life.
That's what it does. It gives it life. You can even bring something from being quote unquote dead into life using creativity. Yeah. Something that was quote unquote useless, or you thought worthless or meaningless, when you put it into action and create, you're giving life to what was. It's just like that penny. That penny, you couldn't do nothing with it. You didn't think you could, because you didn't have the creative thought to do that. But once you start thinking and putting it together, you give that life to that penny, along with some other pennies. You give life to that quilt, that piece, that patch work that you thought was no good. But as a result of that, you'll create, I have to show this to you. You create this. You create this out of patchwork.
Wow.
Quilt.
Yeah.
The children did that out of patchwork. Or if you think that's not good enough, you take this out of patchwork. That's creativity. But they did it out of scrap material.
Yeah. Like our grandmothers did.
That's right.
Yeah.
And they are really, and then the t-shirts, the Freedom Tour, and the places we've been on, when those t-shirts got too small, look at what we did with them.
Oh, wow.
Those were t-shirts. One t-shirt says, what does it say on there?
Vote for your freedom.
Yeah, vote for your freedom. As I am because we are, that's the center one. And the other one have strong family, strong nation. And they have different, but we don't throw them away when they become too small. You turn them into quilts.
Turn them into a quilt. Yeah. Repurposed.
Yeah, I just had to show you that, because that's another way of making sure that you're creative and you don't waste. Because we have very little to waste. And we waste very little if we know how to use what we got.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So when you and I and Sandy had a Zoom call a while back talking about tonight, would you mind walking with your camera, if you can do this, to the display that you have?
I gotta find out how to put that on my computer.
Okay. Sorry to spring this on you, and if it's not possible.
Let me see if I can do this. Y'all see this up here? What do y'all see?
Pictures. Kind of an altar.
That's my mother and father.
That's your mother and father. All right.
Yeah, that's my entire family right here. Beautiful. 7 boys and 3 girls. That's the one who used to make that couscous, and know how to cook those eggs, and how to make that rice and scotch it and burn it. But this is my entire family right here. I just want to show you that. But let's see if we can go around the center and look at some of the pictures. Here. Well, they cut the light out. Let me see. Okay.
Wow, look at all the history. Magnificent.
Can you see him?
Yes,
Okay. This is a lot of history on these walls,
yes.
but just want to show you all of this reflects 56, 55 years of history. And I'll move a little bit slower. And this is me when I was young, y'all. You see this picture?
Yeah.
Yeah, once upon a time. But all of this is part of our history. And this is Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth. It's Dr. King's running partner. His house was bombed in Birmingham, not Birmingham, Montgomery. Can you see him with the glasses
Yes.
on?
Yes, indeed.
Okay, and Maxine Waters,
Uh-huh.
and the first Black senator in Mississippi. And all of this that's Maxine Waters again. And but all this is part, even though some people have issues with it, the Million Man March, we came out of the Million Man March, this portrait right here. And this is people that was Jesse Jackson, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Benjamin Banneker, who designed the capitals of Washington, D.C. area, Dr. Karinga, Stevie Wonder. This is a painting that's on the wall representing a lot of what we have experienced. But let me move on. This is my family picture wall right here. Yeah, that's my son and his wife. This is my son's father. You met him before, haven't you?
Your son's father, yeah.
You
Talking
met
to the
him
man.
before?
Talking to the man.
Yeah, that's when he was a lot younger.
Oh, you're still handsome.
No, I don't know about all that. And but all this is reflective of the history of shape on this wall. These walls reflect a lot. And in fact, that's Danny Glover when he was here.
Mm-hmm.
And you got Dick Gregory, Dr. Karinga when he was here. And everybody has been to this center. They call this the United Nations of the Hood. Everybody, a lot of the movements. That's Reuben Hurricane Carter. Remember the hurricane?
Yes.
Denzel played him in the movie.
Yeah.
Did 26 years in prison for something he didn't do.
Dylan wrote a song. Yeah.
That's right. But all this is part of that history and I'm gonna have to show you the Kwanzaa display. They cut all the lights off, so I'm gonna have to all this is part of here it is. These are the Black astronauts, every single one of them. You see them?
Yes. Beautiful display.
And the Freedom Tour we go on, marching across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, and where Bloody Sunday took place, where King was killed at, where the Fuller girls, all this is where Emmett Till was killed at, right here. That's the store.
Oh, yeah.
That he was that he was taken to when he was kidnapped. But all this is part of that freedom to experience. And here, that's shaped in the Gambia, in West Africa. Again, all of this is part of that experience, the Freedom Tour. And 16th Street Baptist Church, where the 4 little girls were killed. But all this is part of what we go on the Freedom Tour. And then shaped in Gambia, West Africa. This is an NGO in West Africa. You know, that's where Alex Haley traced his roots in the book Roots. He traced his roots to the Gambia. But all this is shape. And this is when Winnie Mandela was at Shape Center. I don't know if you can see. You see that picture at the top?
Yes.
Me giving her something. That's when she was there. And this is when the ballot, when Nelson Mandela was elected, this is the ballot they used to vote for him. And I brought a copy of it back. I was there as an international observer. You know, but Mickey Leland here.
The late, great Mickey Leland. Yeah.
Yeah, and but all of this is just a little sample of what we have. But I'm gonna run over here and show you the Kwanzaa display, and I'm gonna let you go. Let me show you this. I'm in a dark room right now with no lights. Gotta cut the lights back on, and then I'm gonna show you the Kwanzaa display. We getting there.
And there's the circle for the elders, huh?
Yeah, oh, you saw it already.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay. The elders sit in a circle like what you see here. They sit in a circle, and this is a Kwanzaa. Can you see this?
Yeah, yes. Perfect.
Good, good, good. And that's the banner, but this is the actual display with the canara.
With the harvest fruits.
Yeah, see the black candle, and you move from left to right until all candles are lit each day. And this is what's on here. The fruit usually be in here, harvest, symbolic of the harvest. And you have different things on the table, shaker rays and art things. You have the bell on the table and the cup. And whenever they have Kwanzaa, you take a cup of water and you pour libation for those who died, who lived, and who gave their life for us. You pour libation. Every night you have to pour libation, you know, in memory of those who gave their lives or who died in the course of time. That's what's happening. And you notice all these different flags from all over the world. Winnie Mandela gave us that flag right there. That's a South African flag. So all of this is part of that. And then you have a picture of, I don't know if you remember Elder Jean Wilkins Denver. She was an old lady who was an activist, and she used to protest injustice. And everywhere she would go, she'd wear a hat with a lot of buttons on it. That's her hat right there.
Oh, wow.
On those buttons, they'd have things like, what's that one say right here?
Racism is an illness. Are you sick?
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
And all these buttons she would wear on this hat. And then she have a vest that she would wear also. And she would wear this right here too. She would have this with her everywhere she went. Abolish, stop the death penalty, police, and stop police brutality now. She was 86 years old when she passed, and that was about 2 years ago. And she was an activist. But this is my mother and father up here. Could you see them?
Uh-huh.
And their old son in the middle, I think.
The Wall of Honor.
But this is, and the I am because we are. Can you see that?
Yes.
I am because we are therefore I am. There's no me without you. There's no you without me. We're all part of a family of interdependence. That's up there. And so I'm just giving you a little run through. We have a restaurant in here too. That's to my right. And that's open as an incubator. These are a lot of the children who've come through the center.
Mm-hmm.
But the restaurant is an incubator. People can't start their own business, so they rent this restaurant affordably. And when they build up their clientele, they get out of here and they start somewhere else.
What a great idea.
Yeah, and it works. It works. But this is what's happening in the Shape Center, and this is our restaurant. Okay. And that's what's happening, y'all.
This is just beautiful. I'm so glad you gave us the full tour.
I'm
Thank
glad
you for
got.
that.
I'm glad you got some of the full tour.
Some of the
I
full
just showed
tour.
you half of it.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, that's just half of it. And get it. I'm back in the room now. Okay.
Let me ask Reverend Lisa if, or Sandy, if either of you have any questions or comments for our guest. Here's Sandy.
I just would like to say, my goodness, bravo, bravo, thank you. God bless. I would say hail Father, but that's a little too far. But so grateful, so grateful. I've been in there many times in the center, and I've been throughout. But it's just wonderful to make it a part of this presentation today so that it can be shared with all. And the food is good in the restaurant too. I can
No
say
doubt.
that, you
No
know?
doubt.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm so inspired by the Elders Circle. As I mentioned before, I'm coming there to be a part of that. Not quite as elderly as some of them, but I think I can hang. And of course, Mrs. Freeman, Dr. Freeman's legacy is so strong. I'm not sure how well the other participants are aware of the great debaters and how
Oh
far
yeah.
that story is.
Well, his wife comes to Shape every Thursday,
Yes.
so
yes.
she makes sure that we know about it, and we see his pictures on the wall,
Yes.
and we go look at the movie pretty soon.
Oh, that would be so great
Mhm.
too. That's something we can do, Reverend Jesse, for those who have not seen it. It's a phenomenal story. It's told. It's Dr. Freeman's story. And the presentation is through Wiley College.
Right.
Who
Mhm.
beat? Who was that? They beat Stanford. No, not Stanford. Somebody on the East Coast, where
Yeah.
they won the debate. That's the finale of the story.
Right. Right.
Uh, but so much Third Ward history. When I was going to Texas Southern, I'm gonna put a little date on myself now. But when I was going to TSU, Dr. Freeman was on the faculty, and of course, many of those people became um, uh, developed their skills under his tutelage there.
Right.
Because he took no prisoners.
But let me tell you. Let me tell you this. When I was a senior in high school, I was on the debating team,
I can see.
and we used to debate at TSU. It was called the TSU Forensic Workshop Debates.
I remember it.
And I debated over there, and I debated against Phyllis Wheatley.
Oh, did you really?
Oh yeah, they had the #1 debating team in the state,
Mm-hmm.
and a guy by the name of Gregory Millard, and another young lady by the name of, and you probably have heard of her. She went to Rice, the first undergraduate student to attend Rice.
Yes.
Jacqueline McCauley.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We were debating against them, and we won first place.
All right now. All right.
Oh, we won first place.
Bravo.
And I remember the topic: resolved that the federal government should equalize educational opportunities by means of grants to the states for public elementary and secondary education.
Hmm.
That was the debating topic during that year.
Wow.
So we had a lot of rich history. And I was coming all the way from Beaumont, Lincoln High School in Beaumont.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah.
And you know, one thing that you mentioned during the presentation, and
Hmm.
I just think that is such a total foundational component for our Black youth, or the training that you is a training that you give them on the freedom tours and how you help them. I know you school them before they go, not just
Oh, yeah.
participating in the tour, but
Right.
that whole lesson is teaching something that as a culture we don't get to teach anymore. Now that our schools are and our society is integrated, we don't get that teaching anymore. It's not a forum to to prepare our students in that way.
And it's
We get to hear everybody else's translation of the story of the history, but not our own. And so
and
we
it's,
have lost the value of who we are and what we are and what we represent and the power that we have.
and it's even deeper than that. They've taken a lot of stuff out of the schools.
Intentionally.
And you won't be able to teach. Oh boy, if we didn't do what we did at Shape Center, those children would really be lost. And we only could touch a small segment of them.
That's it.
But I'm gonna tell you, the schools teachers get fired for teaching any Black history.
Yes, they do.
You know, it's really sad. And oh boy, every time I think about it, check this out. There's an elder that comes to the elders meeting. Her mother was coming to the meeting, and she was coming along with her mother. Her mother is 104 years old. She was 80 some years old.
Wow.
They lived in a place called it's what's the name of that place? It's in Texas, but it's a little small town in Texas. The schools were segregated. They called Thurgood Marshall to come and join them to help desegregate the schools. Thurgood Marshall came. They filed a lawsuit against the school district, and they won the lawsuit. And the lady got a chance to because they were getting materials that were secondhand materials. And the lawsuit was to get equal materials, and and they won that lawsuit. They won that lawsuit. And the mother told us a story before she died in this circle.
Wow.
Now the child, who's about 80 years old, is in the circle now. She continues to tell the story. That's so in our Elders Institute of Wisdom, it's not just a bunch of old people. These are old people who have stories to tell. Elder what's her name? Freeman. She tells her story because she 104 years old, 103 years old. You know, she lived a long life.
Yeah.
In fact, the first Kwanzaa celebration in the city of Houston was celebrated at her home.
Wow.
On Elgin Street. On Sophomore Street. Across from a club called Nobby's. That's where we celebrate the first Kwanzaa celebration at her home. And she remembered that then. So we got a rich history around here, you know. We got to tell it, because if we don't tell the history, somebody go tell it in the wrong way.
That's right.
Or not tell it at all. Yeah.
Or not tell it at all. Let me stop, y'all. We've been talking.
Thank you so much for being with us tonight.
I'm so grateful. I'm grateful beyond measure.
Thank you.
But I'm just excited that I'm happy that I was able to share with you. And remember, we're family now, okay?
We are.
Okay.
And we'll stay connected.
I got you.
We'll stay in touch. All right.
Let's do that.
Thank you again.
And y'all take care. And if